There has just been the most extraordinary lunchtime in the House of Commons, certainly at Prime Minister's Question Time that I can remember, really, certainly in the last year. That is because there is a hugely controversial moment right now being looked at from Prime Minister's Questions. The video replay of what Jeremy Corbyn said across the dispatch box to the Prime Minister after she'd finished replying to his final question. Now, let's put this in some context. As you know, Jeremy Corbyn and Theresa May sit opposite each other in the House of Commons when they're doing Prime Minister's Questions. The Prime Minister was on her feet. She accused Mr Corbyn of behaving as if he'd been in a pantomime. That was the line that she was using. You know how they often exchange contentious attack lines across the dispatch box. She was going in pretty hard. She accused him. She used some lines, for example, like "look behind you," those pantomime kind of lines. And then the Prime Minister sat down. That was the last chance in PMQs. That was the final question. So Mr Corbyn couldn't get up and reply to her. Instead, he was sitting on the front bench and he muttered under his breath, and it looks like he was just turning towards his colleague, Shadow Cabinet Member John Trickett. And it certainly looked like, to many observers, and this is the allegation, that he'd muttered the word "stupid woman." Now, I've looked at that footage over and over and over again, and I want to be absolutely clear that you can't say for certain what Jeremy Corbyn says there. You have to give Jeremy Corbyn the element of the doubt here. It does look very much like he says the word "stupid." The following word is a matter of controversy. It could be woman, it could be comment. There's no point in us speculating on what it is or saying with any certainty, because we're going to find out, I'm sure, what Mr Corbyn has to say for himself.
He's going to deny it, surely.
Well, we will have to wait and see, but it precipitated an absolutely extraordinary eruption in the House of Commons as Tory MPs' phones
So how did they all spot it? So people texting in?
Well, I have to say that first on his feet was Tory MP Paul Scully, Vice Chairman of the Conservative Party, and he used his PMQ. He'd obviously changed his PMQ to ask the Prime Minister whether she thought that that was acceptable language. The Prime Minister responded and said that she didn't think it was acceptable, and then straight after PMQs, Jeremy Corbyn dashed out of the chamber. He didn't stay sitting down. Meanwhile, his advisors were busily checking their phones up in the gallery, which is where they sit to watch PMQs. And it was obvious at one point that Jeremy Corbyn was being shown the footage by colleagues on the front bench of what he'd just said. It had been caught on the cameras. In the House of Commons, there are 12 fixed-point cameras that follow absolutely everything which is going on in the chamber, and they often linger on the faces of MPs to catch their reaction. Now, straight after PMQs, a Tory MP, former chairman of the Conservative Party, Patrick McLaughlin, clearly mobilised by Tory HQ, intervened with a point of order, and this is what he said.
He muttered words which were quite clearly visible, accusing the Prime Minister of being a stupid woman. Bearing in mind, Mr Speaker, the booklet that you issued this week, the words that the Leader of the Opposition said last September, would it not be appropriate for him to come back in the chamber and apologise?
I'm pleased to respond to the Right Honourable Gentleman's point of order. As he rightly surmised at the start of it, I saw no such thing. I am not making an allegation, and I am not denying or seeking to refute that of the Right Honourable Gentleman. I cannot be expected to pronounce upon that which I did not see and which was not witnessed by my advisers and which I did not hear.
So, Mr BERCOW, whose role in this situation would be to rule as the Speaker on that point of order from the Tory MPs asking Mr Corbyn to come and apologise, he very much saying he didn't see it, he didn't witness it, saying that the clerks of the House who sit just on the table of the House, three officials didn't see it either. To be fair, you would not necessarily see that particular angle because it's a very close-up angle on TV of Mr Corbyn's face, and it's entirely possible that the Speaker hadn't seen that.
What are the rules surrounding things like this? And let's talk about what is written down. Clearly it's not a nice thing. If he did say it, then it's not a nice thing to have said.
So words that MPs say in the Commons are governed as to whether they are parliamentary or unparliamentary language, and there's no specific list of words that you can't say. It's not like there are certain things you're banned from doing, although there's a clear...
Like you can't call someone a liar.
There's a clear ban on calling somebody a liar, but there are other ways that you can get around that inventively, and MPs often do. But the general principle of unparliamentary language is left to the discretion of the Speaker. So it's the Speaker's job to say whether words are in or out of order when they've been muttered by one MP to another. Now, this was followed by an absolutely extraordinary intervention from the Leader of the House, ANDREA LEADSOM, who really threw petrol on the bonfire here in the chamber and made MPs go wild. She's got some very difficult background with the Speaker because they have been clashing behind the scenes, I think it's fair to say, for months on the issue of sexual harassment in the House of Commons and how it's been dealt with. This is what she had to say.
Why it is that when an opposition member found that you had called me a stupid woman, you did not apologise in this chamber.
No. I'll deal with the point.
It's all proper kicking off.
It is. I let that clip run on just so you could hear the atmosphere in the House of Commons. I have to say, what happened in the House of Commons when John BERCOW, the Speaker, was trying to deal with point after point of order from Tory MPs who clearly really angry about this and mobilised.
Well, they smelt blood, didn't they?
They did, and they kept coming. They kept coming with points of order, and the Speaker was getting increasingly frustrated. The next Tory MP to have a go was Anna SOUBRY, and this is what she said.
If it was one of my male colleagues on this side of the House that had used that expression against a woman on the front bench on the opposition, then you, sir, would take action immediately. This is not... Please, would you deal with it, as you often do, Mr. Speaker, in a fair way, but also from the point of view of women in this House who are fed up over decades of being abused by men?
Very happy. I'm very happy to deal with it. The Right Honourable Lady is absolutely right to say that if I witnessed an instance of the kind that has just been alleged, I would deprecate it unreservedly. It's no good people shaking their heads. I received assent to the proposition, which I think would command widespread assent, simply and logically, that I cannot be expected to deprecate the behaviour of an individual which I did not witness.
Now, it's fair to say, we've got to say again, we don't know that he actually said these words. So there is a lot of this can be put down to smelling blood, creating a controversy, fanning the flames. But I mean, John BERCOW is having as much of a shambles of a day as Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah,
I think this whole exchange extraordinary because it really brought into the public forum, the behind-the-scenes tension that there is in the House of Commons over this whole issue. Anna SOUBRY there, clearly, many MPs feel that sexism is a big issue in the House of Commons and has been for many decades. So it was almost as if this moment was really going to light the touch paper. And today was supposed to be a quiet PMQs. It's the last PMQs of the session. It's the last exchange like this until after Christmas. Now, there was another intervention again from Tory Vice Chairman James Cleverly, who claimed that the Speaker should rule on this just based on what MPs themselves saw.
In the leaflet you distributed, you make the point very rightly that we are all honourable members. Our word is therefore evidence. I saw it, sir. I saw him say it.
Yes, I am not seeking to refute what the honourable gentleman is saying. I am simply saying I didn't witness it. The clerk of the House and the other clerks at the table didn't witness it. And I cannot be expected immediately it's no good somebody waving something at me. I cannot be expected immediately to pronounce guilt or innocence. No, I can't be expected immediately.
I mean, that's fair enough, actually. He can't. What are they expecting?
Yeah, he doesn't have...
The pitchforks are out.
He doesn't have video replay like a football match, like the World Cup. He doesn't have VAR. Now...
But is it going to boil down to their word against his?
I'm afraid it is, and the reason for that is that there is a strong denial now which has come out from Mr Corbyn's spokesman, and this will have been delivered at the lobby briefing straight after PMQs. Mr Corbyn's spokesman says he confirmed the words that Mr Corbyn spoke with the Labour leader personally, so I think we can understand from that they talked to each other straight after PMQs, and that word was, he said, stupid people rather than stupid woman. Now the Tories are not going to accept this because they think that he said stupid woman, but again, as you say, Mr Corbyn denying this, the Tories keeping on with it. It's been an extraordinary session in the House of Commons. Nobody thought PMQs would go that way. Labour clearly refusing calls to apologise, and John BERCOW again caught up right in the middle of it.